So it used to be the case that human beings were enslaved in America. And it used to be the case that little children, particularly poor children, were used to do really dangerous jobs that their bodies made them well suited for, like sweeping chimneys. And of course, they would develop horrible lung disease and die very painful deaths at an early age. It used to be the case that women in America couldn't obtain a credit card without her husband's co-signature. And so my question to you is, so here we are today in a different time, and we have abolished slavery, we have abolished sexist practices related to credit cards, and we have implemented child labor laws to protect children from being exploited. Do you think we've made progress? Is this progress? Are we better morally as a culture, as a society today in these regards than we were when we did enslave human beings, or we did exploit children, or we did restrict women's freedom, with regard to credit cards? Have we made moral progress? If you're thinking that yes, we have, that we're doing it better today than we were then in these areas, then you're in contradiction to a central premise of relativism, which is that there are no objective standards that you can use to assess or evaluate any moral claims against one another or any cultural practices against one another. The whole idea of progress becomes kind of a meaningless idea in in ethical relativism, because in order to say that something has made progress, you have to have a beginning point and ending point, or you have to have two things you can compare. And you have to have some sort of measurement that you can use to evaluate them and compare them, to know whether or not something has become better. But to know whether or not something has become better implies that there is, in fact, an objective standard that we can use to determine that one practice is better than another, not just different. Okay? So when you see something like what happened a few years ago out in Arizona, Utah border with the fundamentalist LDS church, Warren Jeffs, who is the leader of this group that regularly practiced child brides. And continue to have their own very unique, isolated culture where child brides was a fairly common practice going back a long way. Now, of course, we would recognize, well, child brides used to be commonplace in the past, but it no longer is. Have we made progress in that regard? Or is the practice of child brides just different? It's not better or worse than having legal ages of consent. It's just a different way of thinking about things. Okay, so if that kind of rubs you the wrong way, then you're getting rubbed by one of the central features of relativism, which is that moral progress is a meaningless concept because there's no way to determine it.